Want to discover unbelievable social media truths? Well, how about we reveal the biggest social media myths as well? Let's get real and disclose the truth behind social media's most popular myths. In this video, we're breaking down this misinformation and digital marketing myths of some of the biggest social media lies we've ever come across, including answering questions such as what do we think are the biggest sources of social media lies and falsehoods, as well as what are some of social media's most popular myths and more likely the truth behind it all. So let's get into it today as we help you step your gram up on the latest episode of the Social Roundtable. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope everybody is ready for a really fun episode because we're really going to be. We're not holding back anything. We're talking about what we've heard, how unbelievable some of these things that are being spread across the social media network, not just Instagram, but even on YouTube and TikTok and others. And some of the things we'll be discussing are very general, such as all platforms. So we want to kind of break down what things that you've heard and tell you what the real is behind them all. Welcome to the Social Roundtable. I am Heston of Social Varsity. Um, I'm so glad to have you guys here on this conversation. I am, as always, joined on our weekly episode of the Social Roundtable by my co-host, Megan. Megan, how are you doing today?
Hello, hello. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, everybody watching in the audience and everybody here on screen. Very grateful for you. Today's topic is going to bring some spicy hot takes, I think, and also help you walk away with helping you feel like you can show up and create content that actually will help you reach your goals so you can sort through all the myths and crazy rules that you think that you have to deal with in order to have success on social media. So very grateful. As Heston said, my name is Meg from Social Media with Meg, and I'm very excited to announce our special guest today is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to content creation, growing your brand, and allowing your audience to find you by really clarifying your message and showing up online so that they can connect and so you can convert them and really make money with that content. So, Shante, if you could take a second here and say hello to our audience, introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Of course. Hi, I am Shante from Sugarpunch Marketing, and I'm very excited to be here. I love a hot take, which if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know that. So this is like perfect. I am very excited.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are so glad to have Shante here on the Social Roundtable, joining us to discuss. As we said, guys, we are talking about the truth behind social media's most popular lies and myths that we've all come across. I am sure everybody has come across something that they were just like, I can't believe people are even spreading this information, this belief that this is actually real. Because I don't know how these things get started, but we're going to be talking about where most likely some of them are coming from, as well as the truth behind it all. I would be remiss if I did not also state that we are also joined by somebody you may not see on the screen, but she is in the live chat right now. Shout out to our moderator, Angela Vasquez. She is there with us, as I see a few of you guys are as well. So thank you guys for joining us today on this Monday, June 9th, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to be talking about a few things today, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how the show is going to go. I got a couple of questions that I have to pose to Megan and Shantae. And then we're going to play a little game in between. There's no right or wrong answers to these questions that Megan is going to pose to myself and Shantae, but you guys watching could join as well. Whether you're watching the live or the replay, you could join in right now. If you're watching the live, go ahead and join in via the live chat. We will be shouting a few of you guys out with your answers as we are talking about this topic. But also, if you are watching the replay, please feel free to go ahead and comment. We will be responding to those as well. Um, this is going to be a good one today because I've actually posted, ladies, a question on YouTube earlier. I just kind of wanted to get a vibe of how people are feeling about this topic. So on YouTube, I think it was on Friday, Megan and Shante. I posted a question on a community poll. I asked, where do you get most of your Instagram news? And I was very surprised. I gave them three options, and I'm very surprised the fact that the majority of them said Instagram guides and coaches. Well, 34% of people said directly from Instagram, which it kind of goes to show you who they kind of favor in regards to where they put their trust in regards to getting the information. I don't know how we might see those that are watching might align with those views as well as you as well, but we're going to get into that right now. So, without any other further hesitation, let's get into our conversation today about the myths and lies that we're hearing on social media. And my first question I'm going to pose to you, Shante, as our special guest. Let me get it back up here. So, in regards to my first question, just social media marketing pretty much right now is often shrouded in myths. It's leading to misconceptions about how to effectively use these platforms, features, and tools. As I said, I ran that poll on YouTube and I asked, where do you get most of your Instagram news? And strong majority said from Instagram guides and coaches. The results show distrust in the information, but maybe they are valid in regards to their thoughts and opinions. So, Shante, I want to ask you, what do you think is the biggest source of social media lies and myths right now?
The biggest source? Um, okay, here we go. The biggest source of misinformation is people view an engagement farming that are coaches, but they're also, you know, they're in the Instagram creator program. They're getting paid for how much engagement and views they're getting on their reels. And that kind of fear mongering or false information is usually created in a very specific way where it's going to get a lot of shares because people are going to be freaking out and sending it to their friends and stuff. Um, and so it's a great way to profit.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I have to somewhat agree with you, and I'm wondering if Megan agrees as well.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that what you said, people who are profiting off of it by like their views and their engagement, and sometimes also I would say not even people who are in that program necessarily, but maybe they went viral like once or twice. And so now they think they know everything. So they're trying to really share this information without being able to show that they've helped other people do it too. So I think both. Yeah.
I am curious in regards to what the audience might think as well, those that are watching live. And actually, let me go to you, Megan, if you had a particular question to ask our audience, those that are watching live, as well as if you're catching the replay.
I'm curious for anyone who's actually watching, who actually did say that they get their information from different creators and leaders on social media, who they are. Because if you are having that reputable person that you love and you trust, I think it's best for us to all have that information and help each other. So if you have that person, drop their handle down in the comments and we will check them out. Thank you.
I like that idea to see if they could kind of recommend those that they trust because it's so easy to put people on blast, but not asking for you guys to put anybody on blast. We know you can
No,
probably name
no.
a few off the hand. Please don't do that. We want to respect them. We don't want them calling back at the social roundtable like, hey, I heard you guys were talking about me.
Yeah,
But
we can have that
yeah, I mean, I feel
conversation in
like
the DMs.
yeah, we keep it in the DM. But no, I mean seriously, it is interesting to see that poll result because I honestly thought maybe it would have been tied with Instagram, getting the information from Instagram as well as from maybe guys and coaches. But to see it was so heavily favored that people trust the guys and coaches that specialize in Instagram. But as Shante mentioned, there can be other reasons why they might be putting out that information. Unfortunately, we don't know the true motives behind it, and there is a beneficial factor to it. I see a few people in the comments right now. Laura Brooks stated, I get news from Facebook too, also Instagram. Yeah, Facebook is a big player in regards to getting news out there. But and now that they've changed that metric or the way that they police information that's out there, it's kind of like the wild wild west a little bit in regards to what's actually been put out there. So you never know. As I'm gonna get into a couple things, I'm gonna make sure I share with you guys, but and give you guys an opportunity to go crazy in the live chat if you have any other opinions and questions that you wanted to share. Just want to remind you guys, for those that are just now tuning in, this is the Social Roundtable. Mine and Megan, we host this every week on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. And we're so glad to have you join us, as well as our special guest today. We have Shante joining us, the agency founder of Sugarpunch Marketing. She's joining us to discuss our very important topic today of telling the truth and dismissing all of the myths and lies behind some of social media's biggest things that we hear, the misinformation out there. We're trying to actually disclose that and really tell you what's really going on in regards to what you guys are hearing. So thank you for joining us on that. This is our YouTube channel. We would love for you to take a moment and hit the like button on this video if you're getting some great value and insight from our conversation, and as well as hit the subscribe button to join our community so you won't miss any of the future episodes with us. Did I miss anything else in the comments, ladies? I'm not quite sure.
let's see here. I haven't seen any come through yet. No, I think you're good. Cover out all the bases.
All right, but then that means we're jumping right back into our main conversation, the main topic that you guys want to hear. We're going to start talking about what we actually heard, and I'm sure a few of you guys have heard a few things as well that are watching. Please feel free at this moment if you've heard some rumors, some misconceptions in regards to what's actually out there on Instagram, how Instagram works, or just social media in general, please go ahead and share it in the live chat. I'll see if I come across any and read them out as well. But I'm going to pose a question to our guest and my co-host as well. I'm going to go with you first, Shante, because as I was saying earlier, we've heard it all before, from engaging at certain times to a frequency of posts shared on the platform. There's almost an unlimited amount of myths and misinformation about social media in general out there that we use. But then there are some more outrageous, just ridiculous things that we've heard. And I feel like sometimes they deserve their own award because they're just so unbelievable. So I'm going to ask you, Shante, what are some of social media's most popular myths? And if you can, what is probably the more likely truth behind it? Why people believe one aspect of it?
Ooh, okay. I would say the one that has been the most persistent is using a third-party scheduler for your content. A lot of people, for a while, I don't know if it was like a trend or what, but we went through a phase where if you used a third-party scheduler, like this is what people were saying, then you would not get as much reach or engagement. Instagram wouldn't show the post to other people versus if you post in the app natively. And I that's not true. And then it went like everybody was talking about it and like debunked it, and then I've seen it starting to come back again. So it's coming again.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Mhm.
So are people are actively trying to avoid schedulers?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. You would think that people would be more motivated to use a tool that makes their life a little bit easier. Especially since I feel like this misbelief in regards to that tool, a scheduler, any scheduler, I think we're talking about just a general scheduler in
Mhm.
in general. Um, it makes your life a little bit easier, but I don't feel like anybody's been able to actually prove that it does anything negative to your results. And I'm wondering, have you ever experienced anything that made you think otherwise with the scheduler?
No, I mean, I'm a social media manager. We have multiple clients. We use schedulers because posting natively would be impossible. And our clients' content still does well. I use a schedule for my own content and done as well. I've even tested it and it is the same. And also, a lot of these schedulers are partners with Instagram. So it wouldn't necessarily make sense that Instagram would partner with them and be like, yeah, this is okay to use, and then like behind the scenes like downgrade the reach and the content, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that would be a disservice to the business itself, right, Megan?
Yeah.
Like, if especially as Shante mentioned, they are usually business partners to some degree, maybe an official meta business partner, which is not a title that's easy to get. Um, Megan, like that would just be a disservice to Instagram. We're speaking about Instagram in this aspect. That would be a disservice to them, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, especially if they are, verified partners with that platform, I mean, they're not going to tell you, yes, you can use that, and then hurt you for using it. Um, I don't know if a lot of that confusion comes from the fact that yes, your post can perform better if you do engage around the time you post, but it does not mean that's the thing that makes your post perform well. It's really a consistent growth with your the way that you show up and the value you're putting in your content, how good it is. So like there's people out there who don't engage at all who have incredible engagement, like they don't do that engagement around the posting time, and they have great growth because their content's just good. So that myth could be kind of building off of that, but I don't know.
I'm so glad that you mentioned it. 'Cause I think that's actually the truth behind it. I think it's the fact that it almost gives us the permission to post and ghost. If you're gonna, set it for 12 p.m. And I mean, honestly, right now, I've actually used a scheduler on Threads, and it actually went out at 12 p.m. I'm not on my Threads at the moment, so I'm not also engaging. So if somebody's commenting back, I'm not actively engaging. And I think the same thing applies to any social media platform. So I think you're right. And I think that's where the truth really lies in regards to this falsehood on schedulers on Instagram. So
Mm.
that's a great one. I like that answer. We're going to come back to you again, Shante, for another one. But I want to go to Meagen for your first one in regards to myths that people hear about on Instagram or just social media in general.
A lot of people are gonna dislike this one, but
Uh-oh.
the myth that you're shadow banned or that the algorithm is against you. When Adam Masori gets asked this question about shadow banning, it's funny hearing his response because he's always like starting out saying, "No, there's no such thing as shadow ban," but then he like comes in and is like, "Well, actually, I mean, I guess you could see how you could make this term up for what is
Mhm.
happening with Instagram." And basically what that is if you are going against the guidelines that Instagram has set for content, or if you've been reported, or you know you have any strikes against you for copyright or whatever it might be, if you have done things against their community guidelines, yes, Instagram is going to lower the I guess the frequency of how often your content gets pushed out, or to the size of that audience of how many people it should get pushed out to. Yes, they can work against you in that way. But if you've been following all the rules, and if you go into your account settings, you can see like account status, and it will show you if you're in good standing or if you have any strikes against you in those like three different areas. It's simply not true that you're shadow banned. Like Instagram didn't wake up today and say, you know what, I'm going to hide Meg's content today. Like it's it is true that you can have kind of a negative spurt and maybe you haven't changed anything. Like you're right, there's ups and downs, and there are times where I feel like, okay, Instagram's against me, but in reality, if we step back and look, maybe it's the way consumers consume content that's really changed. So the way your audience wants to consume what they want to consume, that could have been a big change. Or maybe a post you made had a hot take that a lot of people didn't agree with and they stopped checking in on you. Like there's so many different factors. There's factors like, is it summertime? Is it a holiday? So many things. Instagram's not against you unless you can see you actually have something against you, like strikes in your account status. Have you guys gone in and checked your account status? Everyone in the comments, let us know. And then everyone on screen, do you guys use that?
Once in a blue. Once in a blue. Yeah, I just want to make sure everything is, copacetic. I'm all good. They have nothing to flag me on, especially when I know I might have posted something that can be a little bit risky. I go and check, but it's usually all good. How about you, Shante?
No, I never check. Um, Instagram usually notifies you in your
Yeah,
notifications if they flag
That is
something.
true.
So,
they would.
you know,
Yeah, for sure.
that's
Sometimes I'll check it if I'm like, whoa, that post should have done better. Did I miss that? But you're right. You would get a notification of getting something against you.
yeah. Sometimes it's hit or miss, sometimes reaches down and like you said, it could be summer. People's behavior changes based on the season and holidays coming up and stuff like that. And I think bigger picture wise, everyone is being affected. Like if you're getting low reach, it's probably everyone
Yeah.
is getting low reach, not just you, you know?
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely agree with that. I'm gonna pose this question to you guys very quickly. I posed it to the audience, and the question was, have you ever been shadow banned, or you felt like you've been shadow banned? Um, Meagen, I'm gonna go to you first. Have you ever had a moment where you've noticed maybe you weren't able, and not I want to make a correction because I saw somebody said they weren't able to comment. That's different. If you're not able to comment, you've been action blocked by Instagram, and they would tell you straight up, hey, you can't comment for 24 hours or however long. But have you done something that actually led you to directly believe you've been shadow banned?
No, sometimes my mind goes in like a spiral of, is there like a troll out there who's reporting all my content and that's why it's not doing good? Am I going to get shadow banned?
Mm,
Like I have these thoughts if I'm going through a negative spurt of reach or engagement, but no, I've never had any strikes against me on this account.
and
Yeah,
I know
same.
Shantae's gonna because you said I don't even check it. No, that's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm curious. Once again, guys, going to the live chat. If you have ever been shadow banned, please feel free to respond. If you felt like you've been shadow banned, and if you have proof and evidence, please let us know. And you know, slide into the DMs. I would love to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to share my popular myth that I've come across in regards to social media, and I think is one that we could. I I know I've believed in it. I think the majority of people on social media in general, whether you want to talk about Instagram, TikTok, or other platforms, I think it's something that we most believe in to a certain degree, and that's the fact that the follower count is the most important metric that you should be focusing on. And I have to say, I've really grown to completely disband that belief because when I first started on Instagram, it was all about, okay, I need to get 1,000 followers. What do I got to do to get to that point? Then when you reach 1,000 followers, it's like, okay, what am I going to do to get to five? And then from five, it's to 10,000. It's this endless loop. You know, like no matter how much you keep going, you're just constantly on this circle of going back and forth and trying to figure out what's the next goal? How can I get to that? Because ultimately that's going to get me more success. And it's not the case. You know, I've reached 10,000 pretty recently. And let me tell you right now, there was no celebration when I reached it. There was no milestone. To tell you the truth, Instagram didn't even acknowledge the fact that I reached 10,000 followers. It wasn't even like they said congratulations, but even on some of the platforms, they might say, hey, you got 100K or 10K, whatever it may be. But this need to reach a certain follower count and just putting so much importance on it. I just don't believe the importance of follower, or if in the case of YouTube, the subscriber. I don't think it's important anymore. I feel like honestly it's dying, and partly is because the algorithms that we have today are just so good because I don't necessarily need to follow somebody to actually see their content constantly. Like if I just simply like or comment on their post and I'm not following them, I'm more likely to see their content the very next time I go back on Instagram or any other platform. The algorithms are really, really working well to the point where I don't need to subscribe or follow. And it's changing the dynamics between creators and businesses as well as customers and, substantial followers to any degree. And I just in general, I think it's harder to gain and grow an audience today than ever before because of these dynamics. I haven't personally, I follow a lot less people nowadays. I don't even know the last time I hit the follow button on my business account. My follow account, I'm a little bit more free to do so. But even then, it's like you got to earn that button. Me pressing that button, I gotta see you first off more than once. I got to see you a number of times, see if I really like the content and visit your profile. And if we really vibe, then I hit the follow button. But I think back in the day, it was like, as soon as somebody saw your content, like, oh, this is great, follow. And it's just so different nowadays. Have you also shared something similar in regards to that, Shante, in regards to how followers and subscribers work now?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I even personally, like if I'm scrolling and I see a person's content that I like, I'll engage. I like it, but I won't necessarily follow them until they've come up on my feed multiple times. And then I'm like, oh, I should follow this person because I really like their content. Or if I like their content enough the first time I see it, then I'll visit their profile, like you said, and like kind of check them out and be like, do I want to follow this person? So I think just the way that people are using Instagram has definitely changed. Um, and it's also easy to fake your follower count. So
Ooh,
businesses and
that's a
like
good point.
marketers already kind of have that in mind. Um, but a lot of people who are new or trying to grow on Instagram don't necessarily know how easy it is to fake it. Somebody could have like 100K, but then you go in, it's actually just a bunch of bot accounts, just trying to
Yeah.
beef up so that it looks like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even consider that fake account aspect. How about you, Megan, in regards to this? Like, have you dealt with something similar in regards to your thought process of followers nowadays?
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much like people have to work harder to earn my follow, but I don't think about it as much. Like it's not as like second nature, more of like I'm enjoying that content. Okay, next. I will say there are some that I'm like, whoa, that's such a good post. Like Shantae just said, I go to their page and I just follow right away. But I agree with what you said, Heston, that it doesn't matter how many followers they have because Instagram's doing such a good job of prioritizing all sizes, especially small creators, that this person that you found, like, scrolling through your feed might have this one post that has 1 million views. You go to their page and they have 2,000 followers, and you can see that, like, after that million view post, they like the next few posts are also really, really great. They're performing well, and it's like that launch pad for this account, and it kind of shows the proof in the quality and the value in their content right there. So like I don't need to say to myself, oh, 2,000 followers, I don't like, not that you don't follow someone for that, but like, let's be honest, we all
Yeah.
have that little bit of like bias and maybe like a little warning flag. Do we trust them enough to follow? And I think the way that Instagram's pushing out content to get people engagement when their content's really good just surpasses the importance of a follower count.
Yeah. I like that. I like that definitely. So we're seeing the evolution of the follower subscriber count. We're not saying that it's not important at all. It's just that there's a lot less importance on that number. It's definitely become more of a vanity metric for most general purposes, but it does serve a purpose to a degree. It's just that it is not the almighty of what we had back in the day when probably before reels were even on, on Instagram. Like back then, it was really focused on getting that 10K, and it mattered then more too. I just want to add this part. It added. It was more important back then because when you reached a certain milestone, there were certain things that were unlocked. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, you couldn't just put a link on an IG story. You had to have 10K followers, and then you were able to put a link on a story. That's gone. So it's definitely not as high priority anymore in regards to your follower count.
Yes.
I just want to shout out. Angela was like, "It's I'm exhausted chasing followers." I hear you, Angela. I hear you. We're gonna move over to our fourth um, truth or and mystery and myth of social media. So let's go to our fourth one. I'm gonna go to you next, Megan. If you could follow up with your next one.
Yes, of course. So this one I'm going to actually say I was guilty of believing for quite a while. Really up until I'd say like the end of last year when Instagram released some new content around their algorithms work. This is when I realized, like, oh, this is kind of a big myth that I was believing. And that myth is that you're going to be punished if you are following and engaging with accounts that are outside of your niche. So it
Hmm.
used to be thought by a lot of people that if you are looking to grow your account with your target audience, you cannot be following random topics, random accounts, and you shouldn't be viewing their stuff, engaging with their stuff, because it's going to shape who sees your content or who doesn't see your content. And this was a big myth for a while. Like I said, I fell for it. It made sense to me. But then at the beginning, I think it was the beginning of this year, when Instagram came out with some more content around how their algorithms, multiple algorithms, work, it really clarified it for me, because we have an algorithm for what gets shown to us in our feed, in our explore page, in our reels tab, and a separate three algorithms for what gets shown to people, other people, in their feed, their algorithm, their explore page, and their reels tab, as well as algorithms for the stories and who's in the first lineup, right? So there's so many different algorithms out there, and yours is going to be different than your target audiences. So it's okay to engage with people outside of your niche, and I personally have been loving doing that because it helps me with coming up with different ideas for content, because I'm looking at that format of the content and what's
Mhm.
doing well for lots of different people, not just people within my niche. And it makes Instagram more fun because you're consuming content that you really enjoy. So definitely. Have you guys heard that myth?
Yes, yes, definitely. It's definitely one that goes out there. Um, I I did not believe it, but that was because I was a nerd, and when Instagram posts stuff a couple years ago about how the algorithm works, it's like a long list. It's very techy. I went through each little line. I think there were like 90 different things that they listed. I could be making it up. It was a while ago. But there was a lot. And so I was like, okay, so this means this and this means that. And so if people don't go through all of that, like I can see how it'd be very easy to misinterpret what it is they're talking about.
Mm. I'll also say that Instagram doesn't do a very good job of releasing this information in a way that's easy to understand. Like you
Yeah.
said, like you have to really be nerdy to go through
Yeah.
it. So sometimes when they're explaining how your algorithm works versus like your followers, it just doesn't really make sense the language they use. So you have to really dive into it.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes they rely on you getting some of that information from Adam Mosseri, which I all credit to Adam Mosseri. I think he has a very hard time putting that type of information out there. But let's be honest, the majority of Instagram users are not following Adam Mosseri, so you have to put it out in a way where it's easily accessible, and as you're kind of stating, Megan, where it's easy to digest and it's simple to understand for just anybody to grasp it. But hopefully they learn better. I feel like I'm not on TikTok much, but from what I hear, that they do a good job of that. And maybe Instagram likes to borrow. Maybe they could borrow a little something from TikTok in regards to that. So that might be something that they could learn from.
Yes, for sure.
We're gonna go. We're pretty much near the end of our conversation, guys. Hey, once again, if you guys are just now tuning in, this is the Social Roundtable. Myself and Megan host this every week on Mondays at 12 p.m. And today we are joined by agency founder of Sugarpunch Marketing, Shante Gorman, who is lovely to join us today. We've been trying to get this together for so long, and we finally got it going on. I'm so glad that she is here with us. And of course, you, the viewer, whether you're watching live or catching the replay, we appreciate your presence here. We hope that you are getting some value and insight from our conversation today, all about the truth behind social media's most popular myths. If you are getting some of that value, please hit the like button on this video, share it with some of your other friends, as well as hit the subscribe button to join our respective communities so that you can actually stay tuned for more episodes just like this. We're going to go into our last one, number 5, and we saved number 5, a special spot for Shante to share with us her last choice. So, Shante, you have the mic.
Okay. This one was really out there, but the number of people that you follow impacts your reach. So if you're following a lot of people, you get lower reach, which doesn't make sense in my mind, knowing how everything works. But I don't know. I don't know why people decided that was a thing.
I'm surprised that one lasted for so long. But at the same time, I've also seen people believe it, but yet they were still like trying to get as many followers as they can, and they're like trying to push it up to 7,500, which is the limit from my understanding. And then they would drop it down. Like this was a time where they were doing like the follow for follow thing. So as soon
Yeah.
as they get somebody to follow, they get a certain amount, and then they drop it down and just repeat that cycle again. But I don't know why that one lasted for so long as it did, and I'm sure people still believe it now.
Yeah. I saw a post a couple weeks ago where, they were touting that information. This is still
Yeah.
going?
I thought we were over this. Yeah, I wonder if a lot of it has to do with people just like having that ego. Almost like if I, do or do not have a certain amount of people I follow, it means I'm better or not as good because I
Mm,
have more followers than I am following. Or if I'm following more, with that myth that it's really showing people I'm connected. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. We're naming all of these myths, and we're only naming like 5 right now, but there's so many. Like I'm positive by the time we go on Instagram later today, we'll probably come across a few others that we probably never heard of, and a few others we're so familiar with that we just completely just ignore it. And there's so much of this going on. I don't believe it'll ever really end. That's just the way social media is, especially in today's time where it's so easy to spread misinformation, and now with the inclusion of AI, you can't even trust everything you get from AI. You have to second guess what ChatGPT and some of these other AI systems are telling you. You can't. I wouldn't trust it enough to do my own homework back in the day. So I don't know if you're just completely grasping everything that AI is telling you and then repeating it. And that's one way that it could be spreading misinformation. I actually
Yeah.
was it was a poll that I was doing on YouTube. And the poll, if I remember the question, was who is the most followed Instagram celebrity. Now, instead of going to each one, I went to ChatGPT and I asked the question, and it gave me the 4 responses that I knew were the top 4, but the number of subscribers were completely off, like
Mm.
a couple 100,000 off for almost each one. And I was like, imagine if I had put that out there, just blatantly believed it, and put it out there. Somebody would have called me out on it so easily. So
Mm.
we got to be careful where we're what we're listening to and what we're interpreting as true information and not, and whether it's from Instagram directly. We've all seen Instagram kind of mess up and then walk back their steps a few times, and some of your favorite Instagram guides and creators. I will say that though, that does not apply to us here on on the Social Roundtable. We are giving you great information, and I think one of the things too about that I think we all can. Uh, it applies to all of us is the fact that you could have a conversation with all of us about whatever information we put out there. You can easily slide into the DMs. You can easily comment on our posts, and we will all engage with you guys. And I think that's a difference in regards to some of these other people that are putting it out there, and then just put it out there, and then they walk away, and they just let everybody else, take that information and spread it. So I feel like there's a difference. Speaking of, if you do want to get in contact with any one of us, I would hope all three, you can find the link in the bottom of this description on this video. You can find a link to all of our respective Instagram and YouTube pages, including Shantae's website. If you wanted to learn a little bit more about what Shante is offering from Sugarpunch Marketing, check out her link also in the description as well. Well, all right. I think that was a great conversation all about the truth behind social media's biggest myths. There's a lot more. This might need a part two or part three. We might have a couple sequels in the making of this this topic because we know there's no end to it. But regardless of what we come across on a daily basis, and I speak for you guys viewing this, we want you guys to be a little bit smart, a little bit more strategic in regards to what you guys are grasping or being told on the internet. Not everything is true, unfortunately. So make sure you guys are actually taking some of what we are sharing here today, understanding, breaking it down, and seeing how it can work for you in the best way possible. And as I always say, step your gram up. We're going to move over now to a little game that we're going to play. We are going to have a Q&A only if you guys have a question. If you guys have a question, we'll probably hold up to about 3 questions and hold the Q&A. But that will come only after our little game here that Meagen is going to host right now. And you guys can also engage with this as well, whether you're watching us live or catching the replay. Meagen, the mic is yours.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, our fun game today is Would You Rather? I'm going to name off 2 things, and ask you guys in the comments to choose A or B, which one you would rather if you had to choose, and everyone here on screen. So we're all ready. The first question is, would you rather A, have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, or B, have 1 million followers on Instagram? Go with you, Shante, first.
I would go with 100,000 on YouTube.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Do you have a reasoning behind that?
Um, they would pay you more. Instagram doesn't pay you per follower count.
Show
YouTube
me
does.
the money.
Yeah. Love that for sure. Heston, how about you?
I said, Machete said that meme of Tom Cruise saying, "Show me the money," popped in my head because I 100% agree. Like, don't get me wrong, having that many followers on Instagram would be a great deal, but first off, the algorithm's the algorithm. So
Yeah.
I have a million followers. It was a million you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a million followers. I'm probably only reaching 50,000 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
It's not that
So
much.
true. So true.
But yeah, I think as Shante said, you get paid more on on YouTube. And the other aspect that a lot of people don't realize, and I said this the other day to somebody, there's a I don't know what does that call it. When you say that you're an Instagrammer or a TikToker, people understand and they respect it. But when you say that you're a YouTuber, it's almost like a prestigious thing. And then when you say how many people you have, even if it's less than on your Instagram, it still almost takes higher accolade than your Instagram following. I don't know if you guys noticed that as well, just whether it's with your own account or others.
Yeah, I would say you're right, because in order to get subscribers on YouTube, it's that next level trust. And
Mm-hmm.
people really have to want to sit down and consume your content, not passively consume it. They're more there to actually listen.
Yeah, definitely. Good question though. Good
Thank you.
question.
Thank you.
I saw Angela put 100K. Oh no, wait. Angela put money talks, which you're absolutely right. Well, but I'm surprised. Angela chose 1 million on Instagram. And she said,
Yeah.
I love Instagram. Hey, to each their own. To each their own. There's no. That's the thing about these questions. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, 1 million, that's a lot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I do love Instagram, and 1 million followers over there would be great, but it doesn't necessarily. I feel like YouTube has a higher quality of people who are looking for something very specific, and Instagram's a little bit more broad.
Hmm.
Yes, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see the comments coming up, Heston, so sorry if you don't mind. If there are
Sure.
any.
I didn't see anybody comment and answer just yet, except for Angela. But if you guys are in the live chat, please feel free to answer the questions that Megan are posing to myself and Shante. And if you are watching the replay, go ahead and put it in the comments because I'm going to come back to it. And I'm going to ask you exactly why as well. Maybe you're about the money too. And I'm going to put a little gif of Tom Cruise screaming, "Show me the money." I would love to see what you guys are going to respond.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for that one. Second question here. Oh, I didn't answer. I'm sorry. If you guys care,
Yeah.
my answer would
Yeah,
be a hundred
let's hear it.
thousand. I'm like, let me talk. Yeah, 100,000 on YouTube if I had to choose, but that's a hard one because Instagram is my jam, and I put a lot of work into Instagram, so that's hard. But definitely, like you guys mentioned, the reasoning for YouTube, I'd go with that one. Next
Okay.
question here. Would you rather A, be a guest on your favorite podcast, or B, be featured as the cover of Forbes? Heston, you go first.
Oh man, you went to me first. um, podcast or I'm gonna go with Forbes. I'm gonna go
Mm.
with Forbes, and what immediately jumped out in my head was I know a few people that have been able to go on some of their favorite podcasts. Even myself, like when I was first starting, there was a few people that we've actually had on this the social roundtable, which were from some of my favorite podcasts. We were able to have them join us as guests. But how many people do I know actually been on the cover of Forbes? Not many, not personally. I don't know that many, and I would love to brag that I am that one. So that's the reason behind my answer.
That's valid. That's valid. Shante, what would you say?
Same thing. I'd rather be on the cover of Forbes because well, not to brag, but I have been on my favorite podcast, which is nothing to do with Instagram growth. It has to do with romance books. But I've already been on that and it was great. So I'm ready for the Forbes cover. But also, like, if my grandma was like trying to brag about what it is I do, she's not going to understand the podcast thing. But she will be like, oh, she was on Forbes. Look at my granddaughter, like there's more prestige there, I feel like.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that answer.
That's a very good answer. Yep, you're right. I think that okay, my comments are working here now. So Laura says A, if that is to this question, to be a
Yes,
guest on
it
your
is.
favorite podcast. Awesome, Laura. I'd love to know what your favorite podcast is. If you don't mind sharing, you don't have to, but I'd love to know that. And Angela says B, so being featured as the cover of Forbes. That's a hard decision, but I think being featured as a cover on the cover of Forbes would then lead to a lot of podcasts. So that might be a
That is
good way
a
to look at it.
great point.
Hmm.
Didn't have that as an answer when I made these questions, but I started to think about it. Wasn't trying to like cheat you guys out of that one, but yeah, I think I, like you said too, Shante. That's a good thing that like my grandmother can talk about being on the cover of Forbes.
Yeah.
Not many people get to be on Forbes, right? So, yep. Well, thank you so much for
It's,
playing along, everyone.
yes, thank you so much. It's so funny you said that, Shante. I used to work for a magazine, and I took one of their covers once, and I imposed myself on the cover, and my grandmother actually hung it up in her apartment. So
Yes, that is. I was on the cover of a fitness magazine, and my grandmother has it cut out too. So it's yeah, the magazine's important.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining in on that in the live chat. We hope to see a few of your answers as well, also in the replay. Once again, this is the Social Roundtable. We're near the end of our conversation. I did ask the live audience if there was a question. I didn't see any responses just yet. I will give you guys a few minutes. If you guys don't have any questions, that's perfectly fine. That just tells us that we did a very satisfying job and we left you guys with all of the gems and nuggets that for you guys to move forward with and go out there and proceed. But if you do have any last minute questions, please go ahead and post it in the live chat. I'm going to take a moment right now to let Shante speak a little bit more about herself in regards to where you can find her, and if there's anything that you would like to plug that people might be interested in that is upcoming. As I said, your link and all of the information in regards to your YouTube channel and Facebook, I'm sorry, and Instagram is in the description. But please feel free. You have the mic to share what it is that you would like to
Thank
talk
you.
about.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm a social media manager. I have a marketing agency. And I also, aside from that, like to mentor up and coming social media managers. So if you're interested in becoming a social media manager, having your own business doing that, I have a ton of videos over on YouTube. I'm posting every week, as well as my podcast episodes. And then Instagram, I talk more strategy and metrics and like how to measure growth and like mindset and things like that that have to come along with that. And I post daily on Instagram. So you can pick and choose what you're interested in. But I would love to connect. Let me know that you found me here. That would be amazing.
Yes, please go ahead and like I said, the links are in the bottom of this video. Please go ahead and check her out. I'm surprised you didn't mention, but you have an incredible podcast and YouTube channel. As I said, I listened to it myself. I'm just here looking for it right here. I don't know if you guys can see. Check out her podcast as well, the Social Media Manager. She does it's weekly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and check it out as well, so you can find her there. Um, I see a few people had unfortunately jumped in late. I apologize, guys, that you guys came in late, but as the Joy Parade stated, you can always catch the replay, so we appreciate that if you can. I don't see any other questions. Megan, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any other questions in the live chat. So I think this is a good point where we could end our episode, unless there's anything else that you guys wanted to share. Any other myths?
I just want to know, everyone watching, if you guys have myths, whether you're watching live or on the replay, if there are any crazy myths you've heard, drop them in the comments, whether you're watching on Heston's or my own channel. We love hearing them and having a conversation about it and also clarifying it so we can all make sure that we are not falling for these myths anymore.
Yeah, no more bad or fake news. We want the truth, right? Give us the truth. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Megan, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, on Threads, here on YouTube for our replays of our lives and when we do go live. And why not drop it here? My podcast, Happy Creating, is launching at the end of this month. So that will be a fun
Awesome.
place for longer content, really diving deep into content creation strategy and the mindset that really you have to form in order to have the success that you want to see for your brand on all social media. So excited for that.
Awesome. Congratulations on that, Megan. Looking forward to that as also. Yeah. So, guys, make sure you check out her podcast as well. All of the links are in the bottom if you want to connect to her when she does launch her podcast. You have her Instagram and YouTube there. If you're looking for myself, you can find me at social.varsity on Instagram and Threads. I'm on always on either. Please slide into the DMs if you'd like. If you want to learn more about DM automation and ManyChat, that is my jam. That is my thing. And right now, I actually have a great offer going where you can learn how to do both for just $1 per month. That is a limited time offer. It's an IG subscription, and you are locked in at that price. So even when it goes up, your price stays the same at $1 per month. So you might want to go ahead and check that out. The best way to do that is to go to my YouTube, go to my Instagram and DM me the word join us. It's one word, join us. And I will see you there. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Social Roundtable. We will see you guys next week on Monday, 12 p.m., with a brand new guest and a brand new topic that we know you guys are going to be interested in. So see you guys then. Until then, thank you once again, Shante, for joining us. And to everybody else, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I think I'm good on my end.